Hey, Hannah, I just thought I would record this rather than me write a big long email because it's just easier for me to say. It's just quicker. So I'm just going to do it this way. Been processing what we spoke about yesterday and yeah, had some thoughts. So essentially, I was struggling with this whole thing about you paying me. And yeah, and it doesn't sit well with me for you to pay me in the current structure. So this is what I'm thinking. Uh, we spend we have one more session. You don't have to pay. We spend like maybe an hour and a half just kind of really mapping out some stuff, and we try and do that as soon as possible. But I'm conscious that you're in grant writing mode and there's grants going in, because one of the things that I thought about in terms of the payment thing is what would sit better with me is that you don't pay me out of your own pocket, but you get a grant or something like that, and that helps pay me because I don't feel comfortable about you paying me out of your own pocket at the moment. And yeah, so that's where that's at. So what I'm thinking is, yeah, we do an hour and a half session and really just try and map out a few things. I guess I'm particularly interested from you around what you've tried already, like what you've done, and getting my head around that. Um, like what resources and assets you've got at your disposal that we can use and leverage. Um, and then I guess with the mind that I'm particularly interested in about building this kind of group of allies for you so that you are not doing this alone, because and so that might involve like who are stakeholders around, who's interested in your work, who have you worked with, like just that sort of stuff. The other thing that I wanted to, and this is where my particular lens comes in, what do you have energy for? I'm really curious about that because, there's a whole lot of slog in this sort of work, but if we don't have like where our energy is important for sustainability. So I'm really curious about where your energy is in this work and how we leverage that. Um, and then in terms of, I guess, that bigger picture, I think the women's shed idea has a lot of legs and is something that, you know, getting a better sense of what your vision is for that would be really useful. And what I'm thinking is that, we don't, this is pro bono free, whatever, for this session, but that you potentially contract me on a project, just a short project to kind of get things started, to support you to kind of build this kind of thing. And whether and this might not work for you, so it's just an idea, but whether that's something like, you call it something like a sustainable social impact manager or something like that. Um, but that you fund it through a grant. And we can talk about that. You're going to have a much better sense of whether that's possible, what's around, what's not, all of that sort of thing. But that kind of be, a kind of time bound piece that where I can just support you to get something off the ground. I think that that would probably be the best use of, yeah, how I could support you. Anyway, it's an idea. I have some time. I'm about to go into school holidays, of which, then, you're not going to see me for a couple of weeks. But because I'm juggling work and school holidays at the same time, which is always sort of a bit more, my work time is more compacted. But I have time. I have time tomorrow and Thursday. If you have any time in those days, hang on a second. No, I have. I've got time. I'm flexible tomorrow. Um, and I'm flexible until 2 on Thursday. So I'm working on stuff at home, but I'm flexible in terms of meeting with you. So if you have time in any of those days, great, because it would be great to just leap onto this while it's fresh in my head, because I tend to just move on because I've got too many things. Um, yeah, an idea. So, and if that doesn't work, that's okay. After the week of I'm back sort of more fullish time after the week of the 28th of April. Um, so yeah, so if this week doesn't work, maybe early May, last week of April, early May, if you can send me some times and we'll try and find, yeah, a time for that. But I think, and I guess in that hour and a half session, we can talk about what the parameters of that might be. And I guess what I'm thinking is with a view to um, putting that in some of your grant pieces, because, yeah, there's a couple of things, I guess, that are kind of coming up for me around, yeah, I think, um, yeah, some support around boundaries, I think might be really good in this work. Just particularly for sustainability. And so, yeah, and organizations with boundaries, particularly in the space that you're working with as well, I think is going to be, um, yeah, really helpful. And so, yeah, really curious to talk with you about that and your learnings that you're learning and kind of in your other role and how you can apply that across. Anyway, there's just some thoughts. I'm sounding all a bit frenetic. Sorry, slowing down for a moment. But yeah, that's my thoughts. So, um, let me know what you think. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Okay, bye.